Welcome to my workshop. I am going to do these small chickens with you, they're chick size, but they're still chickens. And they're really easy to do. I've made a whole bunch of them. I have been working through things to create a pattern I really like. And my final one that I did that I really, really like has already gone to a new home, so I can't actually show it to you, but we're going to make one together. But the one that started it was this cute little guy who I actually had seen a video online, and there's also a Ravelry pattern, and I will link her video and pattern here because I'm not trying to draw away from her or take her stuff. She did a super cute one. She does this really fancy little square to it, and then she has her patterning that she had done, and it was absolutely adorable. I actually, even on this one, I did not follow exactly, but it was super cute. So this is what actually started it, and I just was kind of going off from there, expanding things. And I then this was one of the other ones I had done, and he was a little bit too big, but he also had very large holes, and I didn't want holes that big. I actually stitched the holes kind of closed on him. I also do the tail in the same color as the chicken. She did it in the same color as the comb, and hers also has no waddle on it. And I thought it needed the waddle. So then I did this one that's got the little waddle. I actually did a pumpkin themed one before this one, then I did this one. That one went to another home already too. So this one I thought came out super cute. I liked the size of it, but I still kept going. I did these two little blue ones. The gray one, the yellow one, and the two blue ones are actually for an order I have. They're going with some baby blankets, but they came out really cute. So those ones. Then I went to this one, and this one is almost my final design, but he's also one of the alternates that you can do theme-wise, because it's kind of fun just to do other themes. So this is my Halloween pumpkin theme. So it's orange, it has green eyes, the comb is pointed, and that's done in the same way the beak is done. It's pointed to be more like leaves. So that's my little Halloween one. And the final draft that I have gone with is very, very similar to this one. There's not the pointed, but there's only like, I think, one change from what this one is. So that final one, actually, here is the picture of the one I did. So this was actually done with yarn I spun myself, and the tail I did differently, which is even more simple, and I love having it done in a simple way. And I did 3 bumps for the comb on the head. So anyway, this is the little chick I'm going to show you how to do. So I'm actually using hand spun yarn again, but you don't have to. All these other ones that I just showed you, these are all with regular yarn. This one I think was a red heart. This one's big twist. These ones are both Caron Simply Soft. So you can do whatever yarn you want. You could do, this one's actually a little bit thicker, more of a bulky yarn. So you could do thicker yarn, you could do thinner yarn, you could do a fingering, you could do whatever you want. Just adjust your hook for the yarn you're using. So I'm actually using, like I said, yarn I've spun. It's about a worsted weight. Because it's hand spun, it does get a little thicker and thinner, and this is one of the skeins that was one of the first ones I spun. So when I was still trying to figure out what I was doing, but I'm trying to use my hand spun yarn because it's silly to just have it sit there. And I thought this would be a pretty color. So I'm going to use this yarn, and we are going to make a little chick with it. So I have, this is my main body, this is going to be the comb and the waddle, and I think I have enough, just barely, of the yellow for the beak. And then a size H hook. I'm using my trusty furls. You guys know I love my furls hooks. So I'm going to put you down here so you can see what I am doing. Okay, this is, if you know how to do a granny square, you're going to have no problems doing this. We're going to start with our magic ring. And if you've watched me before, you know I just loop it over my fingers like that and pull up a chain and flip it over, so I'm working on the tail. So we're doing a total of 3 chains, and then we are going to do 3 double crochet, and then chain 1, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. So it is basically a basic, starting like a basic granny square. Chain 1 and then 2 double crochet. And grab your tail, cinch it down, and then just join into the loop of the chain 3. With this project, you don't really need to worry about getting into one of the chains, chaining in, or joining into the loop. Works just fine. So there's our basic little square. Let's see. Okay, so now we're going to chain 3 and do a single crochet into that same chain space. And then we're going to work 3, not a single crochet, sorry, a double crochet. This is all double crochets in the squares. Okay, so we are going to do 3 double crochets. You'll see our spots where we're going to go. 1, 2, 3. So our first one was in a chain space, and here's our next chain space. So we are going to work into each one of these double crochets, doing 1 in each. So we have a total of 3 on this row, of not counting the ones in our corners. And then we're going to work into that corner space. So we actually have, this is our chain, so we're not counting that because that's for this side. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total double crochets across there. 2 are an increase in the space, and 3 across the row itself. So then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to work a double crochet in the space, and then we're going to work 3 double crochets. So you know it's 3, so if you can't figure it out, the easiest way I've found to figure it out, and 1 more in that space, I'll show you on this next side. Chain 1, double crochet. Okay, so if you are confused, not sure where your stitches are, the easiest way I've found is you go to this last one here, and you can see your V and your space, and you know you need 3, so you can go 1, 2, and you're going to go into that one there. So that one sometimes is hard to see, but if you count backwards, then you can find it and make sure you have enough. So we're working 1 increase and on the first chain space, working the 3 across, and then 1 increase in that last chain space with a chain 1, Now we're on our last side. So we're doing the one in the chain space, 3 across. Our third one is actually going right here. So here's our chain, and here's where we had joined in that last one. So there's a space right there. So we are going to work into that space, and then we are going to join to the chain because the chain is our increased double crochet for that one. So we're going to join right here. There's our square. We're going to chain 3 again, and we're going to do the same thing as the last row, except this time you're going to be working 5 double crochets here. So whatever your previous row's total was across is what your new number is in the center. So this one, the last one, had 3 in the center with 2 in the chain spaces, totaling 5. So this one will have 5 in the center with 2 in the chain spaces, which will total 7, which means our next row will have 7 in the center with 2 in the side, if that makes sense. And we are going to keep increasing in this way until we get to 9 in our center with 2 in our sides. So it'll be a total of 11 on each side. So this is how you're going to do your square, and you're going to continue this way all the way out until you have a total of 11 on each side, which is 9 in your center area. And do not worry if you do not have a crisp looking square. If it's a little rounded, that's okay. That is, in a sense, what we want. You can do it totally square, and that's how I started out doing it. But I have found that you have a tighter space in the corner, so you don't have as big of a space. And it also gives that slight curve, which actually makes the chick look more chick-like than having the sharp corners. So I don't think a circle would work quite the same. I like the fact of that having that square, but having that little bit of a rounded shape in the corner, I think makes a big difference. So continue like this till you have your total of 11 on each side, and you will bind it off, and then you're going to do a second square. And the second square is going to be exactly the same, except for one thing. When you get to the end, leave your yarn attached. Do not bind it off, and I will meet you back at that point. Okay, I'm at the end of my first square, and in case you haven't seen how I do this before, I thought I would show you. So I do not knot it, I pull it through, and then I go into this next stitch right here. I'm going to go under the V, and then I'm going to come back down in that first loop. So it gives a nice smooth edge and you don't see it. The way we're going to finish these squares off, it's probably not going to matter too much anyway. And then here you can see how that square looks. It's not super square. You can give it a little tug. It will tug out into a square, but like I said, it works better this way, not having it in a perfect square. So I'll finish the second square and then I'll be back. Okay, I'm just coming around to finish that last row on my second square. And then join with your slip stitch, but do not cut that. You can give your square a little tug like you did on the last one. I'm using variegated yarn, so my squares are not identical, but now you're going to take and put your squares, and you don't have to worry about weaving this in. It's going to be on the inside, so we're going to put our squares wrong sides together, and we're going to start in the corner space, And on that one, it's right there. Okay. And we're going to do a single crochet. And then you can take where your corners are, give yourself a little tug, and then hold your piece, and you can see your where your holes line up a little bit easier. So you're going to do a single crochet in each one of these double crochets across, but you're going to be going through both squares. So we're joining the two squares together with single crochet. And we're going to do this around 3 sides. And in your corner spaces, you're going to do 2 single crochets. So you kind of turn the corner with the single crochet. I'll show you that here in a second. Oops. So here's our corner space. We're going to work into our corner space here and our corner space here. And we're going to work 2 single crochets. And then I like to do the same type of thing. I find my corners, give them a little tug so I can hold them, and continue to work around. So you're going to, like I said, you're going to work 3 sides with single crochets. And I will meet up with you at the end of those 3 sides and show you the next step. Okay, I'm at the end, and I actually like to do 2 single crochets in that last one. It doesn't really matter, that's just what I've ended up deciding to do. You can go ahead and cut your yarn, and then you can, I like to pull it in through one of the holes so that it just stays inside. Okay, so there is our funny looking little square. Again, you can give it a little tug, it will pull out, and it's more square shaped, but that little bit of that rounded edge that we want. Okay, so here's our opening, and we are now going to work in this corner up here. So opening's back here, and the corner we're working is here. And if you have 2 different colors like I do, and you want it, you know, your colors to sit a certain way, you can figure out which side's which. For me, it doesn't really matter. Just telling you that is an option. So our opening's here, we're working in this corner. I'm going to start with my yellow, and I think I'll have enough, hopefully. Okay, so there's our corner, and we're going to work in this first stitch right here. We're going to slip into it and chain and do a single crochet. In the next stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet, a double crochet, chain 1, and then go back into the top part of your double crochet. There's 2 loops. See that little like upside down V? I go into the left bar of it and slip stitch. Then we'll do a half double crochet in the next one, a single crochet, and a slip stitch, and pull your yarn through. So I had enough, yay. So there's our little beak. Then I go with my hook inside, and I get in as close as I can to where the yarn's at, and I'll pull that one in to the inside, And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the same thing. I worked over the tail, and I'm going to do the same thing with that tail and get as close as I can and pull it in. Then I come into the inside, I tie a little knot. Things do not need woven in because they're inside. I'm going to snip this other piece off. You would have snipped it already, I just had a short piece. So there's our beak. Now, I'm going to, oh, there we go. There's our beak. So I'm going to flip it over because I want to work along here now, and we're working from right to left. So that next stitch right here above the beak is where we're going to start. And we're going to do almost the exact same stitches and work over the tail again. So chain one and do a single crochet. Then we're going to do a half double, a double, and a half double. Then in the next one we're going to do a slip stitch and a single. The next stitch we're going to do a half double, a double, and a half double. And the next one we're going to do a slip stitch and a single. And then the next one we'll do a half double, a double, and a half double, ending with a single crochet and a slip stitch. So that we get our little waddle. Okay, so we're going to start in this first stitch above the beak, and we're going to do a chain one, a single crochet, and a half double crochet in that first space. The next space we're going to do a double crochet, a treble crochet, and a double crochet. In the next space we're going to do a slip stitch, a single crochet, and a half double crochet. In the next space we're going to do a double crochet, a treble crochet, and a double crochet. In the next space will be a slip stitch, a single crochet, and a half double crochet. The next one will be a double crochet, a treble crochet, and a double crochet. And the last space is going to be a slip stitch. So there's our little waddle. So now you can snip that, and we're going to do the same thing we did with the beak. We are going to go in to here as close as we can get, pull that yarn through, and then do the same thing with the tail that we worked over. Pull that one through, then we can take that and we can tie a knot, and we can leave the ends. Okay, so now we just need to make our little waddle, which is very easy. So right below the beak, we're going to go into the stitch right below the beak. We are going to pull up and make a chain, and we're going to chain a total of 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 chains. We're going to go back into that same stitch, and we are slip stitching. We are snipping, and that is our little waddle. And then do the same thing. Pull those threads through to the back, one on each side, and tie them off. So there is our chicken head. Now we just need some eyes. So you have a choice. You can either do colored eyes. So you could pick a color you might like on there, or you can do just the straight black eyes. So I think they both actually look really cute on this. So you could play around with what you like. Do an orange. Don't like the orange. We could do yellow. Nope. Oops. We could do green. You could actually stitch your eyes on. You could use buttons. Let's see, what was the first one I had done? Blue? Blue could look cool. Or I could just do the black. I think I might actually just do the black. So we need 2 eyes and our little backers for the safety eyes. So then there's a trick to putting your eyes in the right place on both sides. And if you look, you have your corners here. And I don't want to go into that corner space because I don't want it to be too big. So what I do is I go just below, right here. And you can actually kind of split that stitch because you've got the bars that go this way and the one that comes down. And if you go right into that space, right there, and put your eye in, like that. Then when you go to the next side, you do the same thing. You have 2 of these spaces and you're going to go right below that second one. And then your eyes should be, for the most part, lined up. And I've found if I have trouble getting them to go in, I twist them. I screw them in. So then we'll put the back on it. And there's our little chicken face. So now you're almost done. We need to add some stuffing into our little chick. So just some polyfill, or if you're a spinner too, you could actually use some scrap wool and put into it. I actually think I need to go grab some more of my polyfill. I just need a little bit more. Okay, so I've got that polyfill in there, and then I like to take a little bit, and I do this to fluff mine so I don't have lumpy spots. I just kind of pull it apart, but then I take and stick a little bit on that side and a little bit on this side. And I do that because we're going to actually close this like this, and that way it gives a little bit more in these sides here. So let's see, that one might need a little bit more in the body. Taking the 2 little side pieces back out, shove some more down into that body. Okay, do our 2 little sides again. That's better. Okay, so now with our chicken facing us, we tip it forward on its nose, and we're going to bring this seam and this seam together. We're going to pick up our yarn we used for the body, and we're just going to go in to the furthermost stitch that we can get into, and pull up a chain, and then you can work over that chain, or you can tuck it in. I mean over the tail. You can work it over, or you can tuck it in, or you can kind of do both. And we are going to do the same thing we did around the squares originally. We are going to single crochet this tail together. We're just going to go all the way across, making sure when we get to the center that we are keeping this lined up and that we are actually closing this off. So make sure somehow you get into this center area, because you don't want to have a hole there. And onto the next side. So you could do a smaller hook, which I have done, but it gets really hard to see when you're in those chain one spaces. So the slightly larger hook worked better, and the holes are still small enough. Okay, so we got to the end. We're just going to snip that, going to pull it, and then you can either use your hook and push your hook into there, or you can go ahead and thread it on a needle and just go in and shove it through as far as you can. Pull your tail back down. And there is your finished little, absolutely adorable little chick. And there's your little tail. So leaving it like that, it kind of pulls together. So you worked it straight, but it kind of pulls together, makes a cute little tail. You've got your little waddle, and with play, they get kind of bent over, but you just pull them back out. They come back out nicely. So I'm trying this a second time. For some reason, my thing got turned off and wasn't recording. So here is our finished little chick. Super cute. Its little tail is now in a kind of a V shape. Even though you worked it straight, it kind of creates the cute little fins, feathers of the tail. And you could stuff it more and make it more firm, but I like it kind of squishy. I like that there's not holes where you can stick in and pull fill out. The safety eyes are in nice and tight. So if you do give it to a child, you shouldn't have any issues. But if you are too worried about that, you can just stitch on the eyes. So that is our finished chick. Super adorable. You could do these for a sale because they work up really fast. You could give them as a gift. I made one recently for my cousin. I made one like this for my little neighbor girl, and this one is actually for my friend's daughter for her birthday. She loves Halloween, and she just turned 21 or 22, but I made this one for her. These ones that I had shown you were going with baby blankets. They're baby gifts, and but like where I stitch this one up, because I don't want the holes where they could get their fingers in and pull polyfill out. So my finished design, I think, works really nicely. You don't have any large holes. It's very simple, easy to do. I will have a written pattern on Ravelry. I will link it below, and it will be a free download. So if you want the written pattern, you can go there. If you make some and you post them on Instagram or something, tag me. I would love to see them. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, make sure and click like and click subscribe. Do all those YouTube-y things. It really does help. And we'll see you all again soon. Bye.